Good morning, folks. Today I'm going to try to make an evaluation over my plants and vegetables that I've been growing this season. Well, I tried to test out many different varieties of plants this year that I never have grown before, just to see if they could grow here in the Norwegian climate. And some of them did well and others not so well. It's very difficult to say if they thrive here in Norway in a normal year, because this summer has been very special. We had a really heat wave here and a bad drought, and we usually never have that. In my time I can only remember it a couple of times. So in an average year I don't know how my plants would have done, so I maybe have to try next year as well with many of them, just to see how they grow in a more normal year. Anyhow, I can take you with me on a tour around and have a look at my different varieties and plants, so you can see which one that was a success and some other ones that wasn't so good. So, come with me, folks. The first one out on the list are my runner beans. This one you see here is Scarlet Impera. Got some great big pods here, and it has been growing very well. And I harvested many beans. So this variety of runner beans I'm gonna grow next year for sure. And here is the runner bean prize winner. It's a very beautiful pod on this one, very smooth, but it's small. And my experience with this variety here is that it has been growing far too slow and it crops very late. So I don't think I will plant this next year. I will just concentrate on the Scarlet Impera. And I ordered some new seeds from a bush variety of runner bean. I can't remember the name now. I'm gonna try that one next year and see how that one turns out. Now over to my beans. This variety here is French horticultural beans. You can see how small the pods are. And this variety here is far too slow maturing at my place, so I ain't gonna grow this next year. And here another variety. It's a bush bean, and it's called soldier dry bean. The pods are very nice to cook when they're young, but as a dry bean I reckon they are too slow growing. So I'm only gonna plant a few ones of them next year. And here is a bolotti bean. It's a bush bean. It's a dry bean, this as well. I could eat this as young pods, but they were I didn't like the texture, and they were very stringy. And as a dry bean they are a little bit too slow growing here. So this one I ain't growing next year. Cherokee Trail of Tears it's called, I think. And if you see here, The pods are very nice. They haven't ripened yet, but I sowed these very late in the spring. So in a normal year I would have planted them much earlier, and I suppose they would have been ripened by now if I had put them down at the same time as the others. Have a look at the pod on this one. It's very light green in color compared to this other one here. Let's see, here you go. And I think maybe that plant there has been cross-pollinated. But it doesn't matter so much because I only will collect the black seeds. Okay, so next year I will grow Cherokee Trail of Tears for sure. It's a very healthy plant. And here is my Norwegian heirloom bean. We call it Klosterbønne, and it will mean something like monastery bean, the monastery bean or something like that. And this is a great plant. Look here. You can see the beans through the pod. Well, they are like this already from they are small. And it's a pole bean. This year I only had 3 plants remaining, so I didn't pick any beans for eating. I'm saving all the beans and seeds for next year from this heirloom. And I have about 80 beans now, I think, that's dried. So if the frost don't come too early, I maybe collect much more of them here. I'm gonna keep many of them for myself, but I'm also giving away seeds to my friends and neighbors. Great bean, and it tastes very nice. Anyhow, you gotta string them first. My lemon cucumber has been growing very nice, and the plant here is very vigorous. I don't know if you can see in the lens here, but there are loads and loads of cucumbers in here, and I collected many of them as well. So that's a really good plant for growing here in Norway. Am I gonna grow this next year? Yes, I will do that for sure. This one here is called red monk cucumber. You can see loads and loads of cucumbers. Look here. There are cucumbers all over. And this plant is very strong. It seems to do very well at our place here. Here you can see one of them, it's very ripened. I'm gonna take seeds from all of my cucumbers this year. And this is a seed cucumber. And they're very good tasting as well. They carry a really, really big crop. And the small ones I have been using to make pickles of. Tastes delicious. Very, very nice plant. Like it. I'm sure gonna grow that one next year as well. And my pickling cucumbers, This variety is called homemade pickling. Let's see here. Loads and loads of cucumbers. And I've been picking cucumbers from this variety here a long time now. And it's a great plant. And it grows very well here. I'm keeping seeds from this one as well. And I'm going to grow it next year. And my sunflowers are doing great. They're growing, they're flowering. And one of them are nearly a meter higher than the other ones. But it's from the same seed packet. The tallest one there is over 3 meters. But the only snag here is they bloom far too late. And the big question is if they reach ripening until frost comes. So, if they ripen, I will try to collect the seeds and sow for next year. If not, I need to buy some seeds or get some seeds of a variety that flowers earlier than this one. Over to my tomatoes. This here are a variety, a beef variety. It's called Mennonite. It's very early ripening and it keeps out flowering and cropping straight up to frost. So this plant here is going to be my main crop next year for the beefs. And over here is another beef plant. I don't know if you can see this one here. It's my Cherokee purple. It's very disease resistant against fungi and mold, but the plant is not so big, about 1 meter and 80. It carries quite good with tomatoes, but it lost in the competition against the Mennonite. So next year I'm only going to grow a couple of these, 2, 3 I think. And this one here is called Blondkopfchen, or little blonde girl in English. Here you can see the cherry tomatoes. You can see it's a multiflora type. The tomatoes are very small, but late in the season they get really sweet. The plant didn't like the very heat we had this summer, and it first started to produce tomatoes when the temperature had cooled down a little bit. But they're really sweet and a nice taste, and it has a good aftertaste, umami. And especially late in the season, they taste very good and sweet, very sweet. But they're not so good earlier in the season. Am I growing this to the next season? Yes, I'll grow one or two. And here's another potato-leaved cherry tomato. It's called Galena. It's, what shall I say? It catches some things here, and it don't seem so strong. And the tomatoes, yeah, they're very average in taste. So next year I ain't planting this one. And here is orange cherry tomato. I don't know the name of it because I collected the seeds from a tomato that was store-bought. It's split it up in 3 different shapes. All 3 types tastes good, but this one here is really strange looking. So this one and the other round one I'm gonna plant the next year. Here you can see the form I usually have. So I'm growing these 2 varieties next year. So it's going to be fun to see if I can stabilize the variety. And here are my piccolo cherry tomatoes. Beautiful tomatoes, very sweet, but ain't so sweet as rose quartz multiflora. They are a little bit similar in taste, but the multiflora grows better here at my place. So piccolo I'm not going to sow next year. And over here, black cherry. It has been growing, very vigorous. Quite a lot of tomatoes this summer, especially now when the fall is near. They have a lot of unripened tomatoes, as you can see here, but I think they will ripen. This one I'm planting next year. Not so many of them, but a few. And here's my green zebra cherry tomato. It's vigorous and it grows very well, but I don't like the tomatoes, so I ain't growing this one next year. This one's called Jean de Cour, and it's a cherry tomato, and they got the shape of a pear or a plum. Tastes quite good, but it's not my type of cherry tomato. I'm taking seeds from them though, but I ain't gonna grow them. So the seeds are just for giving away. And this is called black zebra cherry. I have tasted better tomatoes, but I'll give this plant a shot next year as well, and I save seeds from them. And here's another one. It's cherry tomato, this as well. It seems that this one is semi-determinate and it stops growing when it's reached about a meter or something. It puts out very much cherry tomatoes that are very sweet. Taste good. I'm gonna grow this one for next year. And here's my 10 bricks tomato. It's a cherry tomato called Rose Quartz Multiflora. And I only say yes, yes, yes. This one has been following me for years, and I'm still gonna grow this one. I got plenty of seeds from the sweetest one here. This one to the left. So, this one is my garden queen. And here are some black tomatoes that are called Indigo Rose. And it's my girlfriend that has been growing these. They ripen quite late and they taste very, what shall I say, quite common. It's like a store-bought tomato. But as an ornamental plant, it's splendid. And we're gonna grow a couple of these ones next year as well. So that's some of my vegetables and plants. I got a lot of more flowers and other types of plants, but to keep this update short, I think I'm gonna take those ones a little bit later on. Ikke sant, Isak? Can you say hello to the YouTubers? They're there. Ja, god. So I hope this tour with me was okay through the garden, and I'll say bye bye for now, and I'll see you soon.